Suggérez-vous la lecture des règlements en français ou en anglais?
En anglais, s'il vous plaît.
Welcome to the Academy Marketing 2016. Before you begin, can you confirm me that you are Team G?
Oui.
Each team has 20 minutes to present this case to the judges. I'll show you a board to the 10, 5, last 2, and the last 30 seconds of the presentation. During the last 10 seconds of the speech, I will indicate the remaining time using my 2 hands. The team who has not finished after the 20 minutes will be stopped and move on to the period of questions. A period of questions of maximum duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind to the jury that it's mandatory to ask at least 1 question during this period. I would like the judges to introduce themselves and then you can begin. I will start the time only when you will begin your presentation.
Oh, hello, sorry, my voice. I'm Michelle Lessard. I am Marketing and Product Manager at Voxco.
Dominique Surcotte, homme d'affaires.
And François Hood, teacher. Please, go on.
I want you all to think about your favorite person in the world. This could be your brother, your significant other, or your best friend. Now that you have that person in mind, I want you to think about what makes that person so special to you. Is this person funny? Really nice? Or maybe it's something about how when they smile it just seems to brighten your day. Regardless of what quality is for why you love this person, I guarantee you that there's one quality that all of your favorite people have in common. And that is that they're trustworthy. Now the same thing applies in business as well. You won't go into business with someone if you don't trust them and if you don't think that they have your best interests in mind. Hello everyone, my name is Eric and I'm here with my business partners, Austin and Richard, and we are Lumberjack Consulting. Today, we are here to talk to you about how we plan to help you penetrate the corporate market through Voxco Online. And this will be done through our presentation, which consists of our layout, which will be covered by myself, the objectives, which will be covered by Richard, and then finally, Austin will go through the goals, which consist of an implementation plan, as well as a financial strategy. So to start things off with the layout, we've considered 3 main portions of our mandate, being, why are we here, what can we offer you, and how can we measure success. So to start things off with why we are here, we've decided to look at a consumer analysis here today. So we know that your main focus is on the corporate market at hand, and we've identified some characteristics of the market, as well as some of its needs as well. So to start things off, it has a very strong desire for flexibility. And this is seen in the fact that it is a very financially sensitive group of individuals, mainly due to the fact that they're confined to strict budgets allocated to them by their company, which may not be reflective or be a realistic budget for them to achieve their goals. In addition to this, they also have very specific needs. So as opposed to the government or institutions like that where they have very general needs, it's very specific in the corporate sector and it needs to be well tailored to what they actually want to achieve. So as a result, we need to keep this in mind when analyzing our consumers. On top of this, they also have a strong desire for relationships. So many of these corporate organizations actually have an internal resources, which is mainly composed of maybe 1 to 3 people, and these are the ones who are ultimately going to decide which market research companies they want to go with to help them to develop surveys for their products or services that they want to offer to consumers. And as a result of this, it's very important that you keep in mind that they aren't always experts in the industry at hand, and as a result of that, they need your guidance to help you follow through with these plans to provide them with the best surveys possible to achieve their organization's goals. And on top of it, it's crucial to have a good presence in order to have a healthy relationship with these people. So your company clearly takes a keen interest in ensuring that it's always there for its customers to ensure that it's the best possible experience possible. And as a result of this, you've developed a very strong and loyal customer base. This is directly based off the fact that you developed a good trust with them. And finally, they have a strong desire to see results. So again, as previously mentioned, a lot of these people's performances are based off the fact that if the surveys that they give out to people provide them with quantitative results that they can use to help improve their business's operations. So as a result of this, it's important to consider that these people contribute to the organization's success and they rely on you to do this. So keeping this in mind, we'll be moving on to the 3 main key takeaways that we have here today for this consumer market. So one of them being is that we will address their high-level needs to the services that you offer them, as well as the strategy that we have today to help improve those services. On top of this, the strategy that we'll be recommending will provide you with an opportunity to help these people easily transition, as currently a lot of these consumers already are represented by other agencies who provide them with survey services, and we want to ensure that they have a smooth transition from them to you in order to convince them to come to your services. And then finally, we want to offer competitive prices as well, because there are a lot of basic and generic simple survey systems that are already out there that can be taking away from a lot of your sales, but through this strategy, we'll be presenting the value added that you have to offer, and as a result of this, you'll be able to acquire these customers. Now we want to move on to what we can offer you, which are three main things. One being, we want to develop a client persona for Voxco Online. We also want to develop a recommendation for a market segmentation. And then finally, we'll be presenting a marketing campaign as well in order to help you achieve these goals. So in terms of how we can measure success, we have three key performance indicators here. One of them is we want to increase your visibility in the media in order to ensure that you can attract more customers. We also want to increase your web traffic by 100%. Now I know this sounds a little bit, lucrative, but the fact of the matter is with this strategy, we believe that it will be able to achieve this goal. And then finally, we want to increase your sales by 150% during this time period. Keeping this in mind, we've also prepared an options analysis for you here. So we've prepared two main options that you could consider. One of them being the talk-to-talk approach, which essentially consists of a social media campaign. So a lot of businesses see that since they're offering products online, using social media is a consistent way to keep in line with that in order to advertise to people. Now, this is great in one sense, in that it showcases your visual capabilities, which are obviously very important to a lot of your clients, as by having a more visually appealing survey, you'll be able to ensure that people actually complete the surveys rather than getting a little bit bored and deciding not to finish them, which means your clients won't get results from these surveys. In addition to this, it also provides very high exposure, as by advertising on social media, you can reach a lot of people, which is excellent for your business. However, although there are a few strong points, there's also a few weaknesses as well. One of them being is that in order to stress the value that you have to add to people, it requires the use of complex terminology, which may not be very easy to communicate through platforms such as social media, which doesn't make this a very strong route to go. On top of this, it also might be a misaligned target audience, as you're mainly trying to appeal to the people in the internal resources department who will actually be convincing their companies to take advantage of your services, and they might not necessarily be that present on social media at the time. And lastly, it fails to build a strong relationship with people, as by advertising over social media, it's very generic and open-ended to whoever sees it, rather than focusing on actually building a conversation with clients in order to build meaningful relationships. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we want to focus on trustworthiness. And how is trustworthiness built? It's built by walking the walk rather than talking the talk. So with this in mind, we developed a strategy that Richard will be presenting later on, which demonstrates the capabilities of Voxco. So with this strategy, they'll actually be able to see what benefits it has to offer to them, rather than seeing complex terminology as compared to a campaign that follows social media. On top of this, we'll also offer a memorable experience for your customers in order to ensure that they want to return and keep doing business with you in the future. On top of this, we also want to use this to provide visually appealing images as well. So we realize the fact that one of the strong points in using social media is that it showcases how good you are at tailoring what you have to offer to your clients. We realize this strength, and as a result, we've included it in our strategy. And then finally, we do realize that one con of this could be the fact that it is more capital intensive to rely on showing your services to customers rather than actually just describing them over social media. But we really believe that this will be beneficial for you to follow the walk-to-walk route rather than the talk-to-talk route. So keeping this in mind, our key takeaway is that we want you to walk the walk with us, and this will be demonstrated now by Richard, who will be going through the objectives sheet today and present a strong strategy.
Merci Eric. Monsieur, Madame Lessard, pour vous et pour déterminer une bonne relation avec vos clients, on veut que vous créez, communiquez et cultivez une relation avec ceux-ci. Et pour ce faire, nous allons débuter avec créer. Donc, pour commencer, voici un graphique pour pouvoir trouver la segmentation de vos clients, telle que dans votre mandat. Donc, la segmentation se fait par rapport à deux axes. La première axe regarde le volume des ventes versus le nombre de contrats que vous avez ou qui ont affaire avec vous. Pour ce faire, il se retrouve dans 9 bulles. Donc, dans le fond, ça n'a pas besoin d'être très spécifique parce que ce qu'on veut faire, dans le fond, c'est les catégoriser en 3 catégories. La catégorie rouge, la catégorie jaune et la catégorie verte. Parce que pour votre budget marketing, comme tel que le mandat que vous avez donné à 200 000 $, on veut que vous avez 60% de votre budget marketing se retrouve dans la zone rouge. Les gens qui ont besoin ou qui doivent être incités à vouloir augmenter soit le volume de leur vente ou le nombre de contrats ou les deux, dans le fond, pour les monter vers la catégorie jaune, dont le 30% du budget marketing se retrouve et finalement 10% du budget marketing dans la catégorie verte. Pourquoi est-ce qu'il y a une disparition entre les différents types de budget? Je vais en retourner un petit peu plus tard dans la portion de communiquer pour pouvoir développer ce plan marketing. Mais là, on va continuer dans la veine de créer parce que j'ai une belle, nous avons en fait trouvé une belle campagne pour vous et je vous présente Vox Communique. Vox Communique se retrouve sur la plateforme mobile et donc les résultats de la recherche de la semaine se retrouveraient dans certains médias tels que la Presse Plus. La Presse Plus se retrouve à chaque semaine, a une application mobile qui fait en sorte que les gens peuvent interagir avec les résultats dont vous faites. Résultats de recherche tels que, par exemple, pour les entreprises, quand ou quelle semaine est la meilleure pour aller en voyage durant l'hiver. Il fait froid, on va aller dans le sud. Ça serait le genre de choses que tout employé voudrait faire, voudrait répondre. Donc, ça serait ce genre de choses où on peut regarder de façon plus interactive. Donc, comme vous pouvez voir ici, à votre droite, une représentation de ce que ça ressemblerait. Plusieurs questions réparties par différentes cartes. dont un exemple ici, c'est par rapport à la représentation des tartes. Mais comme vous avez plusieurs expertises, telles que le grand dashboard que vous offrez à vos clients, ça c'est seulement un exemple. Et pourquoi est-ce qu'on pourrait faire ça? On peut aller encore plus loin. Lorsqu'on ressort une partie de la carte, on pourrait regarder le nombre de répondants à votre questionnaire, le pourcentage que ça représente dans la carte comme telle, ainsi qu'une corrélation positive ou négative entre les différentes données. Donc, par exemple, si on dit que portion A, ce serait la première semaine de mars que je voudrais aller en voyage, aurait possiblement une corrélation avec autres employés tels que dans la question 2. Donc, par exemple, si je réponds à la question numéro 1 et je choisis A, et que je vois qu'il y a une grande corrélation que dans la question B, les mêmes répondants qui ont répondu la question A répondent la question C, ça serait déterminé et détecté dans vos systèmes. Donc ça, c'est un exemple de différents types d'expertise dont vous pouvez apporter dans la presse plus ou dans différents types de médias avec cette plateforme. Pour continuer, nous avons également les différences entre Voxco et compétiteurs. Donc, dans l'industrie, il y a beaucoup de différents compétiteurs qui offrent des produits gratuits pour faire l'analyse. Et vous, c'est certain que vous avez l'expertise et vous offrez des produits qui sont plus à la supérieurs que la compétition. Donc, ce que vous pouvez faire, dans le fond, c'est pour aller plus loin que cette application, vous pouvez déterminer, ça c'est quelque chose que nous, on vous offre à comparer à nos compétiteurs. Donc, tel que l'analyse de corrélation, on pourrait dire seulement avec Voxco. Donc, selon cette idée. Puis, il y aurait également un lien au site web pour en fait vous acheminer le client vers votre site web pour pouvoir trouver un compte client. De là, il y aurait plusieurs escomptes sur vente, c'est certain, pour pouvoir les inciter à offrir ou ouvrir un compte avec vous, dont je vais passer dans la deuxième slide, dans le fond. Donc ça, c'est la portion créée. Vox communique. La deuxième, c'est communiquer. Donc, voici différents moyens dont on vous propose de pouvoir communiquer votre nouvelle stratégie. J'ai déjà parlé de la presse plus, donc ce serait vraiment le Vox communique, mais il y a également d'autres façons, telles que la vente personnelle. Il y a également, donc par rapport à la vente personnelle, donc dans le fond, vous avez beaucoup de différents partenariats avec plusieurs autres entreprises, donc les Request for Proposal que vous faites avec diverses entreprises. Donc, la vente personnelle, c'est certain qu'on ne peut pas l'oublier parce que c'est très important. Et c'est pour ça que pour la catégorie rouge et la catégorie jaune, lorsqu'on se retourne au graphique de segmentation, on veut les augmenter vers la catégorie verte. Puis, pour l'escompte des ventes, donc ça, c'est vraiment l'idée d'offrir un trial service. Donc, vous offrez déjà quand même beaucoup de services à vos clients. Ce serait vraiment d'offrir vraiment ce trial service pour pouvoir les inciter à utiliser votre service. Des fois, lorsqu'on fait des analyses statistiques, on se dit « Ah, Je vais faire une analyse pour seulement une semaine, mais le serveur, on a besoin de plus de temps pour pouvoir déterminer un peu plus de corrélation, si on a besoin de faire d'autres données et retourner en arrière. Souvent, qu'est-ce qui arrive avec vos compétiteurs, c'est qu'on offre seulement des discomptes pour seulement 7 à 14 jours. Mais ce n'est pas assez de temps pour des entreprises à faire vraiment l'analyse des données. Et c'est pour ça que, selon vous, si vous utilisez la segmentation des clientèles et vous remarquez que il y a une grande possibilité d'avoir un grand volume de ventes, ils se retrouvent présentement dans la catégorie rouge, mais pour les augmenter, on va leur offrir un service personnalisé, une offre de 30 jours pour pouvoir qu'ils commencent à utiliser vos services et lorsqu'ils sont abonnés, leur démontrer comment est-ce que vous vous différenciez de vos compétiteurs. Donc, c'est vraiment ça l'idée derrière. Et puis, pour ce qui est de Search Engine Optimization, vous utilisez plusieurs mots déjà. Une autre suggestion qu'on vous suggère, c'est des longs termes plus spécifiques parce que c'est moins cher. Donc, si vous dites analyse de données sur quelque chose de spécifique tel que dans l'industrie médicale, donc toute cette phrase vous coûte moins cher que seulement analyse de données. Donc, ça, c'est quelque chose que vous pouvez considérer dans le fond. Ça revient quand même à 2 $, mais si vous utilisez seulement analyse de données, ça revient quand même plus cher parce que vous compétitionnez contre des grands clients et des grands compétiteurs tels SurveyMonkey. Et les courriels, ce serait également une autre chose à considérer. Puis cultiver, c'est vraiment la gestion de la relation clientèle dont on veut que vous faites. Et Unbound, ce serait la meilleure façon d'utiliser. C'est une plateforme qui détecte le mouvement des clients, les click-throughs, également toute la stratégie derrière ça, dont va être touchée dans la mise en œuvre. Donc, sans plus tarder, je vais passer la parole à Austin pour la mise en œuvre.
Thanks, Richard. Now, the success of our strategy really depends on successfully implementing it into your business processes. To do so, we've divided our strategy into 3 implementation phases. The collect phase, which is 0 to 4 months, the analyze phase, which is 4 to 8 months, and the evaluate phase, which is 8 to 12 months and looking forward into the future. Starting off in the collect phase, the goal for the short term is to really develop this transparency and visibility of your company advancement. To do so, we need to start collecting the data and respondent behavior that Richard discussed, as well as performing the statistical analysis to come up with the information that you are going to be showing to your customers and to your clients. You need to develop the software that will be able to link this information to your website, both mobile and the full desktop website. And you need to design Vox Communique. Now this needs to be designed to be visually appealing to fit with the rest of your strategy and your visually appealing surveys. The entire process when clients are interacting with you needs to be the same, visually appealing, and you need to demonstrate these competitive advantages the entire process of the sales process. So the key performance indicator for this phase is we need to really increase this visibility in the media. So going online, we want you to be #1 when people are searching for survey software. In the analyze phase, we need to really capture these potential clients. So they've seen what you have to offer, now we need to bring them in. To do so, we need to launch Vox Communique campaign in the media outlets, such as La Presse and other news outlets where these businesses are going to be looking for their information. We want to implement our direct marketing campaign. So going to these companies and sending them a customized package that they would open, they would see how you've integrated their logo and colors into this package and be just wowed by the level of detail that you've used and really draws them into your services. We want to monitor our new web activity. So this involves looking at the unbalanced data to see where your clients are looking and which areas need to be focused on and which areas can be eliminated. So we want to update the board with new and more relevant information. So this is where you're keeping an eye on the statistical analysis and using all of the relevant new information that comes along with these trends and updating it onto the board so that your consumers are seeing this as the data evolves. So the key performance indicator for this phase is to really increase the web traffic by 100%. Finally, in the evaluate phase, you need to embrace the future. So you need to embrace what's coming to your company. You want to follow up with the non-committed users of free trials to see maybe why they haven't committed and really try and close this sale. You need to actively pursue these new leads based on the data of who's looking at this campaign. And you need to gather feedback from new clients. This really shows that you're continuously involved in the process and you don't just leave them right after the sale. You're developing these relationships into the future. As well, looking long term, you should look at developing data export mechanisms between competitor servers. So that's one thing that people might be hesitant to switch is because they have data stored elsewhere. So one thing to kind of look forward into the future is developing a way for them to bring this data into your servers. So the key performance indicator for this phase is to increase sales by 150% after our strategy has been implemented. So this is a breakdown of the budget that we have used. As you can see, the large portion is into launching a media campaign so that you can really attract as many people as possible, as well as increasing your web optimization. And this is divided into the 3 categories, the red, the yellow, and the green, as far as your clients are concerned, for a total of $200,000. You're looking at an increased revenue of $810,000 and a return on your marketing investment of 305%. And I can address how we've arrived at these numbers in the question period after. And now Eric will wrap things up for you here today.
So wrapping things up today, we've addressed many of the issues that were faced by your company. Now keeping this in mind, I want you to put yourself in your consumer's shoes. If you're going to be making a significant decision for your business in the future, who would you rather trust? Someone who talks the talk or someone who walks the walk? If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask in the period. Thank you.
Bravo, congratulations on those recommendations. It was a good presentation and I liked your branding. I do have a question regarding your target. Can you be a little more specific as to, with those bubbles and everything, but can you be more specific as to who exactly you're targeting in terms of verticals and segments? Whoever wants to.
Of course. Yeah, this is a really good question. So one of the main targets, or your target consumers currently, are in the medium to large enterprises. So this category would really reflect that. It's not to say that later on in the long term we can go into the smaller businesses, but they don't have a lot of capital in order to do the statistical analysis. However, it's an opportunity to you because they don't have the resources internally to do it, so they can always export it there. So to start now, look into segmenting your current customers in the medium and larger enterprises, while also maintaining the fact that in the long term you can start segmenting the smaller consumers that you have in a separate chart, just so that they don't overlap in terms of the volume of sales and the number of contracts.
Thanks. Hold on, I have one more question. Oh yeah, regarding La Presse and other outlets like this one, you touched on how you would approach it, but can you be a little more specific as to how exactly we would carry this out?
Yeah, of course. So was it pertaining to how are we going to get it on La Presse,
yes,
more particularly? Yeah, of course. So you deal a lot in terms of personal selling, and also you're located only in Montreal currently, so La Presse would only be a stepping stone just to start off with, and you can look into more national brands such as the Globe and Mail. They can also be, because they're everywhere in Canada. So when it comes to La Presse, it's all about developing that relationship, but also offering the fact that you're going into the business section, and being the one that could say, for example, start with their analysis, so you're taking care of their data analysis, so that they can export it to you, and then later on you can use that to your advantage in order to facilitate and be in their La Presse. So it's kind of like a deal for deal kind of partnership.
Thanks.
Moi, je veux juste vous dire, les gars, que c'était très bien structuré. Vous avez très bien étudié le cas, vous l'avez compris. Et puis, vous avez une très belle équipe, une très belle synergie.
Même chose, c'était très bien structuré.
One of the goals of this project, B2B, was to increase the number of leads per week from 20 to 40. I do not understand clearly how you're going to do that through Vox Communique. Could you explain me how La Presse Plus will increase the number of leads, since La Presse Plus it's more consumer based than business based? Could you explain that, how you can achieve an increase in the number of leads through Vox Communique?
So the idea behind the leads is that So the idea behind the leads is going into and getting the consumers through kind of like indirect marketing. So the idea behind getting the leads is that if you're going to be in, say, a newspaper, and especially an online newspaper in the business section, you're already targeting businesses. So if one, say, and you're also targeting consumers, just regular consumers that are looking in the business section. So when it comes to them looking and seeing, oh, this has something to do not necessarily from business, like for example, my example about the vacation thing, you're a worker, you take vacation, but you also work for a business. So that's where the number of leads would be increased. So that's kind of the idea behind it.
Okay. Why didn't you specifically targeted, for example, more specific publication in the business sector?
Yeah, so we've actually talked about this. We were looking into some of the business reviews. The idea behind that is that it's a limited target market at the beginning. So when it comes to getting into the business section, you really want to go into more public and publicized types of media. So that would be the best way of starting out. But if you want to go into those more specific ones, that's definitely something to look into the long term in order to facilitate the larger contracts that you want to go, because larger companies look at those business reviews.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation by you.
I want to know